All right, so what we're gonna do today, we're gonna give you some glute bridge variations. Essentially, as you see, everybody wants nice glutes, but they also do have a purpose. We actually have larger glutes than most other quote unquote animals because we run and we sprint. Granted, everybody doesn't want to run or sprint, but there's still ways to add that acceleration component a little bit and the acceleration component that'll get you used to using your glutes a little bit more. And then also just slightly other variations that you probably don't use in the bridge that will get you used to moving in different planes of motion and just other kind of joint anatomical motions that are important. So I'm going to show you some great glute bridge variations right now. All right, so the first one we're going to have, which you've probably seen before as we mentioned it, but still going to put it here, is a glute bridge march. A glute bridge march is essentially going from a dynamic 2-foot motion to then one where you march it out under control. That also works on your hip and pelvis stabilization. So you're gonna push up into that bridge, nice good control, okay? Making sure you're not arching that back, you're not passive, but driving, I like to drive through those heels, and then we'll go up and down, and we'll march that out. So still keeping nice, even hips and pelvis and moving around. So that's the glute bridge march. Now, you can move a little quicker if you want and really strike through with a good tempo, but that's a good one. It increases and acts as an acceleration component to that exercise. All right, the next one we're gonna do is a frog pump, which essentially, instead of having the feet here, we're gonna open it up a little bit. So you're gonna be pushing down through the bottoms of your feet while your feet are together, so technically the sides of your feet, and then you're gonna drive up just like this. So you're gonna be doing basically an open hip bridge. For some people, find what's comfortable. You don't have to be all the way open. You can find kind of a middle ground so it doesn't get too much tension inside of your groin, but you're gonna push up. You could also even march it out with this one from a little bit of a different angle, okay? So that's the frog pump variation. And then you could also add in those marches as you need. All right, so for this one, we're gonna have this single leg clamshell bridge. Essentially what that is, it gets you used to also working in this inner thigh a little bit. We work our glutes a lot, but we do sometimes wanna make sure we balance both our adductors and abductors. So we're gonna lay on down, and basically as we push up into that bridge, single leg, we're gonna push up as we clam. So we just drive up and we finish with a hold at the top and then down controlled, okay? And then push up through again, completing that clamshell at the top and then coming on down. Sometimes I like to open that leg as I come down. So it's not just a passive drop at the bottom of the rep. Sometimes the passive drop, and some people have kind of other issues that might exacerbate it. So a little bit of the active drop in that clamshell as we lower down, okay? So that's a single-legged clamshell bridge. All right, next one we're gonna have this single leg bridge, okay? But we're gonna add a drive component to make it a little bit more dynamic. And then from there, what we're gonna do is have a leg extension, okay, to an abduction, gonna move away from the body. So it's more simple than it sounds. So lift that right leg up, and now we're gonna give me a strong, explosive drive, extend, out, bring back in, down. Drive up, extend, good, out, in, back to center, down. And one more, drive up, extend, out, in, back to center. Good. So what that does is when you have something move away from the center of your gravity, you also have to engage your core and your abs. So we're working a multi-dimensional component with an acceleration and then also with the pelvic hip stabilization because that other leg is moving. So that's the single leg bridge with some special sauce. All right, so for the next bridge, we're gonna have a long lever bridge. The bridge isn't just for your glutes, it's also for your hamstrings as well. And especially if you're a runner, one of the main things your hamstring needs to do is the ability to deaccelerate, especially at a longer lever length. That just means your leg's a little straighter. So what you're gonna do is basically have a straight leg bridge or a little bit of a bend, and we're gonna drive up and hold that, okay? We have an isometric hold, so you really feel that in your hamstring, okay? You could add in a saw component where you move slightly in and out, nice and slow and controlled. But it really gets used to the hamstring's ability to absorb force. Super important, especially if you're a runner. And if you're not, it's important for injury prevention too. So that's the long lever hamstring bridge. All right, last snack. If you don't probably expect this one, but a side plank, you could also kind of turn into a side bridge. So what you're gonna do is, which will hit more of the glute med, is that you lay on your side. But instead, when we push up in a side plank, we just push straight up. Put a little bit of a hinge in your hip so that when you drive through this bottom knee and the leg, you'll be pushing those hips forward to then come to neutral. So we're here and we'll drive through that bottom leg and we're here to squeeze. And then you hinge back as you control down. Drive up again, all right, and then down. Drive up, and eventually you can add in some flair with this top leg. But it's really focusing on that bridge component, which will strengthen that glute med and also get you used to having just overall control through the body in a different variation. So that's the side lying side bridge.